Now, I want to get onto the ABC, and something's been brought to my attention that has been uttered by the chair of the ABC, Kim Williams. He's the new guy who's supposed to sort out all the bias issues. And he was speaking at a public function about the coalition's nuclear energy policy. And he said back in his day, you'd have a proper green paper, white paper process. Yeah, Kim, that's if you're in government. He says they've done the policy process all wrong. And here he is here. He says to announce something as a soundbite with no detail as to emissions targets. And look, I'm not being political. I'm not being in any way speaking for the ABC, he says. I'm speaking as an Australian citizen, and I'm entitled, you bet you are, like any Australian citizen, to have a view as to the necessity of good public policy in our nation. And the coalition's nuclear plan would seem to be absent many of the constitutional elements that are absolutely core to the announcement of and execution of important policy initiatives. Rather wordy there, Tim, and very, very valid, of course, but you've got to be in government to do these green paper, white paper processes, Kim Williams. But the other point that just stands out like the proverbial to me, Tim, is that he doesn't mind Labor has some ramshackle renewables, plug it in here, build a solar farm here, let's get some transmission over your farm. No one has to have a proper policy and a cost-benefit analysis for that. It's only the coalition's policy he puts under any scrutiny.
There's absolutely that. It's a very one-sided level of sort of criticism that everyone on the left is sort of guilty of. But I would say this about Mr. Williams and the ABC. Because there's great controversy surrounding this, that he's been seen to be violating the rules as they stand about not being biased or so on, or giving some sort of evidence of political bias. There's an easy way to solve it: privatise the whole thing. Then you don't have to worry about the government being involved. You don't have to worry about appearing before Senate estimates committees every second week. You can just be an entity that says whatever you want. And as well, I'd counsel Kim Williams to stop talking like he's in a Charles Dickens novel and maybe communicate to Australians on a level that all of us can understand. Jesus Christ.
Oh, look, he's a very smart man. I've met Kim Williams a couple of times. There's no doubt he's a very smart and accomplished man. But, Mark, the way to try and convince people that the organisation you're running is not as biased to the Green left as everybody argues is not to go into a public forum and start slamming the coalition on the sort of totemic Green left issue of climate policy.
On pure procedure as well. No politics. Just on pure procedure. Look, no real politics. Definitely not a politic. I didn't get told by a lawyer to say that exactly. Look, we all knew that he was ideologically rigid. We all knew he was left, even though he hadn't come out and said it. We could tell by the glasses. You can tell. That's a left-leaning set of glasses, 100%. The perfectly circular glasses. Look, he's obviously not a journalist, but you're right, fellas, it's 100% right. When the rot's all the way to the top, it sends a really bad message as an institution. To be saying things like this. So just keep your mouth shut.
I love your assessment there. The criticism is just on procedure. Yeah, the procedure's not complicated enough. You haven't made it bureaucratic enough. Dang it, you're just talking about reliable, affordable energy. Why not complicate it a bit? Now, the great news out of the ABC. My phone's going nuts here. Everyone around the country wants to text me this story. I don't know why they think I've got an interest in it, but they've just announced that Paul Barry won't be hosting Media Watch after the end of this year, which I think is something he had to retire at some stage. I would have thought 10 years ago might have been the go. And he's by no means the worst host of Media Watch they've ever had. And Tim, no doubt they'll just be casting the net far and wide now for another old pommy lefty to start bashing News Corp every Monday night.
But why don't they just keep recycling them? I mean, Philip Adams quit or retired or whatever, and he got replaced by David Marr. So just keep going around the old white guys. I mean, they're still alive. There's that. Also, I'd noticed that Paul Barry started pushing the envelope a little, talking about ABC and its rules and regulations, and he started lashing out, I think, as well about nuclear issues over the weekend, and added that I might be in for some counselling. So yeah, he's brave on the way out, Chris. He's very brave on the way out.